There's this moment most people know but rarely name, when logic screams one thing and something deeper whispers another. It's not confusion, it's interference. Your future self is already broadcasting on a frequency your mind hasn't caught up to yet, and the result feels like two radio stations playing at once. Your head's tuned to AM, running calculations and worst-case scenarios, while your heart's locked onto FM, picking up signals from a timeline where you've already made the shift. The dissonance isn't a flaw in the system. It's proof the call is coming through. What most folks don't realize is that the body knows before the brain translates, and the universe doesn't wait for permission to send the signal. Picture this. You're staring at two job offers, one with a bigger salary, the title you've been chasing, all the logic boxes checked. The other, smaller paycheck, less prestige, but there's this pull you can't explain. Your mind builds the case for safety, but your chest tightens every time you imagine saying yes to the right choice. Or maybe it's the relationship that's almost perfect. On paper it works, but the resonance is off. You keep waiting for peace to arrive, not realizing peace is the compass, not the destination. Then there's the random book you grab on impulse, the one that wasn't on your list, and 3 pages in, you find the question you've been dodging for months. That's not coincidence. That's your higher self dropping breadcrumbs through the quantum field. He remembers walking into a bookstore with no agenda, just killing time before a meeting he was dreading. His hand landed on a spine he'd never heard of, and something told him to buy it. No reason, just a nudge. 3 pages in, there it was, a single sentence that mirrored the exact decision he'd been avoiding. The question wasn't new. He'd heard it in his own head dozens of times, but seeing it in print from a stranger's voice shifted something. It wasn't the answer that mattered, it was the confirmation that his intuition had been right all along, and his logic had been running interference. That book didn't create the clarity. It proved the signal was already there, waiting for him to stop explaining it away. So, here's the practice, and it'll take you less time than scrolling your feed. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4, release for 4. This isn't meditation mumbo-jumbo, it's a frequency reset. Your nervous system can't argue and attune at the same time. Then ask yourself, what if I'm already the version of me who chose with peace? Notice what comes first. Not the justification, not the list of pros and cons, but the sensation. Does your chest expand or contract? Does your jaw unclench or tighten? That's your body translating the vibration your future self is already living on. The mind will always try to write the story after the fact, but the body's the observer that registers the shift in real time. Most people wait for certainty before they move, but certainty isn't the language of alignment. It's the souvenir you get after. Your future self doesn't send you a roadmap. It sends you a resonance. When you feel that tug toward the illogical choice, that's not recklessness, it's remembrance. You're picking up on a timeline where you've already said yes, and the energy of that decision is echoing backward. The manifestation isn't something you chase, it's something you recognize. The doubt you feel isn't weakness, it's your old frequency clashing with the new signal. And here's the kicker, the more it doesn't make sense, the stronger the transmission probably is. What if peace isn't the prize at the end of the right choice? What if peace is the proof you're already tuned in? That's the question most folks skip, and it's the one that changes everything. Because once you realize the signal's been there all along, you stop waiting for the static to clear and start adjusting your receiver. And what comes next? Well, let's just say your body's been holding answers your mind hasn't learned to ask yet. You didn't click this video by accident. There's no such thing. The algorithm isn't just code, it's a messenger, and right now, it's placing you exactly where your future self needs you to be. This isn't entertainment, it's an encounter with the frequency you've been broadcasting without realizing it. So here's what's about to happen. In the next few minutes, something inside you will recognize itself. But first, do this. Right now, place your hand on your chest. Take one slow breath, and whisper these two words: I am. Don't skip this. Your nervous system just registered a shift and the quantum field is already responding. Watch what happens in the next few hours. The message you get, the person who reaches out, the idea that won't leave you alone. This video found you because the call's been going out and you're finally tuned in. There's this space most people know but never name, the waiting room of destiny. It's that strange contraction right before everything expands, where you're not quite here, but not yet there. Sleepless nights, signs repeating like a song stuck on loop. The pull to shift timelines, but no clear step forward. Just this hum of knowing something's coming and the tension of not knowing when. He lived in that room once, standing at the edge of a decision that looked safe on paper but felt small in his bones. A project that checked every logical box, but his body kept whispering no every time he tried to say yes. It was in that pause, that uncomfortable in-between, that he finally heard the signal his future self had been sending for months. And here's what nobody tells you. Every great leap has a waiting room. It's not stalling, it's the universe adjusting the focus so you can see where you're actually headed. That restlessness you feel, that's not confusion. That's resonance. That's your higher self recalibrating your energy, so the next move isn't just different, it's aligned. There's this moment most people know but rarely name, when logic screams one thing and something deeper whispers another. It's not confusion, it's interference. Your future self is already broadcasting on a frequency your mind hasn't caught up to yet, and the result feels like two radio stations playing at once. Your head's tuned to AM, running calculations and worst-case scenarios, while your heart's locked onto FM, picking up signals from a timeline where you've already made the shift. The dissonance isn't a flaw in the system, it's proof the call is coming through. What most folks don't realize is that the body knows before the brain translates, and the universe doesn't wait for permission to send the signal. Picture this: you're staring at two job offers. One with a bigger salary, the title you've been chasing, all the logic boxes checked. The other, smaller paycheck, less prestige, but there's this pull you can't explain. Your mind builds the case for safety, but your chest tightens every time you imagine saying yes to the right choice. Or maybe it's the relationship that's almost perfect. On paper it works, but the resonance is off. You keep waiting for peace to arrive, not realizing peace is the compass, not the destination. Then there's the random book you grab on impulse, the one that wasn't on your list, and 3 pages in, you find the question you've been dodging for months. That's not coincidence. That's your higher self dropping breadcrumbs through the quantum field. He remembers walking into a bookstore with no agenda, just killing time before a meeting he was dreading. His hand landed on a spine he'd never heard of, and something told him to buy it. No reason, just a nudge. 3 pages in, there it was, a single sentence that mirrored the exact decision he'd been avoiding. The question wasn't new, he'd heard it in his own head dozens of times, but seeing it in print from a stranger's voice shifted something. It wasn't the answer that mattered. It was the confirmation that his intuition had been right all along, and his logic had been running interference. That book didn't create the clarity. It proved the signal was already there, waiting for him to stop explaining it away. So here's the practice, and it'll take you less time than scrolling your feed. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4, release for 4. This isn't meditation mumbo-jumbo, it's a frequency reset. Your nervous system can't argue and attune at the same time. Then ask yourself, what if I'm already the version of me who chose with peace? Notice what comes first, not the justification, not the list of pros and cons, but the sensation. Does your chest expand or contract? Does your jaw unclench or tighten? That's your body translating the vibration your future self is already living on. The mind will always try to write the story after the fact, but the body's the observer that registers the shift in real time. Most people wait for certainty before they move, but certainty isn't the language of alignment, it's the souvenir you get after. Your future self doesn't send you a roadmap. It sends you a resonance. When you feel that tug toward the illogical choice, that's not recklessness. It's remembrance. You're picking up on a timeline where you've already said yes, and the energy of that decision is echoing backward. The manifestation isn't something you chase, it's something you recognize. The doubt you feel isn't weakness, it's your old frequency clashing with the new signal. And here's the kicker. The more it doesn't make sense, the stronger the transmission probably is. What if peace isn't the prize at the end of the right choice? What if peace is the proof you're already tuned in? That's the question most folks skip, and it's the one that changes everything. Because once you realize the signal's been there all along, you stop waiting for the static to clear and start adjusting your receiver. And what comes next? Well, let's just say your body's been holding answers your mind hasn't learned to ask yet. Feeling isn't weakness. It's the antenna tuning into the frequency your future self is already broadcasting from. Most people treat their body like a vehicle that carries their brain around, but it's actually the Wi-Fi router connecting them to the quantum field. Here's the catch. You can't access the signal while you're running around the house looking for it. You've got to stop, plant yourself, and let the resonance come through. This isn't about sitting in lotus position for an hour. It's about giving yourself 90 seconds to become the observer instead of the reactor. When someone learns to feel without filtering, they stop missing the calls from their higher self. The shift isn't loud, it's subtle, like switching from static to clarity on a frequency you didn't know you were blocking. Think about your morning routine. Maybe you're rushing through coffee, scrolling the news, mentally rehearsing your to-do list before your feet even hit the floor. Your body's trying to tell you something, a tightness in your shoulders, a knot in your stomach, a heaviness in your chest. But you've learned to override it with caffeine and distraction. Then you get to work, and that email you've been dreading pops up, and suddenly the sensation you ignored at breakfast is screaming. Or picture this. You're about to say yes to plans you don't want, and your throat literally constricts, but you push through because backing out feels awkward. That constriction, that's not anxiety. That's your future self sending a signal that this timeline doesn't match your alignment. Your body knew before your calendar did. Here's the micro routine, and it takes less time than waiting for your coffee to brew. Place your hands on the sides of your ribs and breathe into them. Not your chest, not your belly, but those side ribs that most folks forget exist. Feel them expand like you're inflating a balloon horizontally. Now name the sensation without adding a story. Tension, buzzing, heaviness, lightness. Don't judge it, don't fix it, just name it like you're a scientist observing data. Then say out loud, with your hands still on your ribs, I am clear, or I am open, or I am steady. Pick whatever quality your future self would embody right now. Your nervous system doesn't argue with I am. It starts reorganizing around it. This isn't affirmation fluff, it's frequency adjustment through vibration and breath. Now grab your phone or a scrap of paper and write 3 lines. Not a journal entry, just 3 lines. If I already were your desire, today I'd... And list 3 small, specific actions. Not I'd be successful, but I'd send that proposal at 10 a.m. I'd take a 20-minute walk without my phone. I'd say no to the meeting that drains me. Make it so concrete a stranger could follow the instructions. Then flip the gratitude script. Instead of thank you for what I have, say thank you that I already am the thing you're becoming. This isn't pretending. It's tuning your energy to the timeline where it's already true. Manifestation isn't about convincing the universe. It's about matching the resonance of the version of you that's already living it. He started this practice on a random Tuesday, skeptical as hell, writing 3 lines before his first coffee. If I already were someone whose voice mattered in my field, today I'd share that article I've been sitting on. I'd reach out to that collaborator I've been intimidating myself out of contacting. I'd speak up in the afternoon call instead of staying on mute. Within a week, the article got picked up by a site he'd never pitched. 2 weeks later, the collaborator replied, saying they'd been thinking about him. A month in, opportunities stopped feeling like luck and started feeling like responses. It wasn't magic. It was his body finally broadcasting on the same frequency his future self had been transmitting from all along. Most people wait to feel grateful after the thing arrives, but gratitude is the tuning fork, not the applause. When you thank the universe for what you're already becoming, you're not faking it, you're aligning with the timeline where it's done. Your body doesn't know the difference between a lived experience and a vividly felt one. It just registers the vibration and starts laying track toward it. And here's what nobody tells you. The moment you start writing those 3 lines every morning, reality stops feeling random and starts feeling like call and response. But that's just the frequency adjustment. Wait till you see what happens when chaos cranks the signal up to full volume. Chaos isn't the breakdown. It's the upgrade disguised as destruction. When someone loses the job, faces the diagnosis, watches the relationship dissolve, or hits a wall they didn't see coming, their antenna doesn't malfunction, it gets elevated. Suddenly the static clears, the signal sharpens, and the call from their future self cuts through every distraction they'd been hiding behind. This isn't about romanticizing pain or pretending suffering is a gift. It's about reading what the disruption is actually transmitting. Think of it like a violent storm that strips the valley clean, and when the wind dies down, the mountain that was always there finally comes into view. The quantum field doesn't whisper when folks are comfortable. It rearranges the furniture when they've stopped listening. Picture someone who just got passed over for the promotion they'd been grinding toward for 2 years. Their first response? Anger, confusion, maybe even shame. But 3 days later, an old contact reaches out about a role they'd never considered, one that uses the skills they've been suppressing to fit the mold. Or imagine the person whose long-term relationship ends, and instead of the devastation they expected, there's this strange lightness. Like a frequency they'd been tolerating finally stopped jamming their signal. Then there's the health scare that forces someone to stop, really stop, and suddenly they're noticing synchronicities they'd been too busy to catch. The chaos didn't create the new path. It demolished the detour they'd convinced themselves was the destination. He remembers the day the contract fell through, the big one, the one that was supposed to validate 2 years of hustle. It hit like a gut punch, and for 48 hours he cycled through every version of "What did I do wrong?" But 72 hours in, his phone rang. It was someone he'd collaborated with briefly, months back, asking if he'd be interested in a project that required him to show up fully, not the polished, filtered version, but the raw, unedited voice he'd been holding back. The opportunity wasn't bigger in scope, but it was bigger in resonance. Looking back, he realized the lost contract wasn't rejection, it was redirection. His future self had been calling for months, and the only way to get his attention was to yank the thing he was clinging to. So here's the question that shifts everything when you're standing in the wreckage. What is this uninstalling in me? Not, why is this happening to me, but what outdated belief, what misaligned timeline, what false identity is this chaos clearing out? Because loss doesn't just take, it makes space. The universe isn't punishing anyone, it's debugging the system. When the ground shakes, it's not to knock someone down, it's to show them which foundation was never solid to begin with. And once they see that, the fear transforms into clarity, and the chaos becomes the most direct communication their higher self could send. Here's the micro act that changes everything in the middle of the storm. Choose one gesture of alignment while the world's still spinning. Drink a glass of water with full presence. Send the difficult message you've been avoiding. Walk for 10 minutes without your phone. It doesn't have to be grand, it just has to be intentional. That tiny act is you telling your body, your energy, and the quantum field, I am already the person who moves through this. not the person who gets buried by it. It's not about controlling the chaos. It's about declaring your vibration in the middle of it. That single choice shifts you from victim to observer, and once you're the observer, you stop resisting the signal and start receiving it. Most people wait for the dust to settle before they make a move, but the move is what settles the dust. The manifestation doesn't happen after the crisis. It happens because of what you choose to become inside it. Your future self isn't waiting for your life to calm down. It's using the disruption to elevate your antenna so you can finally hear the call. And when you answer, that's when the real shift begins, because your body's been collecting intel this whole time, and it's got a language all its own. Your future self doesn't send certified letters or knock on the door with a megaphone. It transmits through repetition, synchronicity, and phrases that land in your lap from 3 different directions in 24 hours. It's like a lighthouse cutting through fog. You don't see the whole shoreline, but you know which way to steer. Most people dismiss these signals as coincidence or pattern seeking, but coincidence is just causation the observer hasn't learned to track yet. The universe speaks in echoes, and when the same word, image, or idea finds you repeatedly, that's not randomness. That's your higher self adjusting the frequency until you finally tune in. The call is always broadcasting. The question is whether someone's paying attention or explaining it away. Let's say you're scrolling Instagram at breakfast and someone's caption mentions sovereignty. 2 hours later, you're in a meeting and a colleague uses that exact word in a totally different context. That afternoon, you're at the bookstore killing time, and there's a book spine facing out with sovereignty in bold letters. 3 times, same word, wildly different sources. Your logical mind says, I probably just noticed it because I heard it earlier, but your body feels a tug, a little quickening in your chest. That's the signal. Or maybe you keep seeing 11:11, 3:33, 4:44 on every clock receipt and license plate for a week straight. You laugh it off, but something in you is tracking the pattern. Then there's the person who randomly messages you after years of silence, mentioning exactly the project you've been secretly planning. That's not luck. That's resonance pulling aligned energy into your timeline. He remembers a 48-hour stretch where the phrase, "now is the hour," kept showing up. First, on a billboard during his morning commute, some ad for a watch company, but those 4 words hit differently. Then, mid-afternoon, he was listening to a podcast he'd downloaded weeks ago, and the guest said it verbatim, "Now is the hour to act." He almost skipped past it, but something made him rewind. That night, he found a post-it note stuck inside an old journal, his own handwriting from 6 months prior. Now is the hour. 3 appearances, 3 formats, 0 explanation. The next morning, he stopped hesitating on the decision he'd been circling and made the call. Within a week, the thing he thought was months away started materializing. The signal had been there all along. He just needed the repetition to trust it. Here's how to map the signals, instead of letting them evaporate into weird moments I'll forget by tomorrow. Start a signal tracker. Nothing fancy, just notes on your phone. Every night, write down 3 signs you noticed. A repeated word, a person who appeared out of nowhere, a phrase that stopped you mid-scroll, a dream that lingered past breakfast. You're not interpreting yet, you're just collecting data. After 5 days, patterns emerge, certain themes, certain directions, certain vibrations that keep tapping your shoulder. That's your future self creating a breadcrumb trail through the quantum field. And once you see the pattern, the next steps stop feeling like guesses and start feeling like confirmations. Now take it one step further with what you could call a response script. Pick 1 signal from your tracker. Let's say the word courage showed up 4 times this week. Stand up, say it out loud. If this is my future self calling, I am the one who answers like this. And then name 1 concrete action. I send the email I've been drafting for 3 weeks. I book the consultation I've been pricing. I say what I actually think in tomorrow's meeting instead of nodding along. Speak it into the air, like you're rehearsing a line for a play you're about to perform. This isn't manifestation theater, it's frequency confirmation. You're telling the universe, I see the signal and here's my reply. The moment you respond, the next signal upgrades. Synchronicity isn't passive. It's a conversation between the version of you that's becoming and the version that's already there. Most people wait for a burning bush or a neon sign, but destiny delivers through daily details. A song lyric that lands at the exact moment you're questioning your next move. A stranger wearing a shirt with the exact city you've been daydreaming about relocating to. A book recommendation from 3 different people who don't know each other. These aren't breadcrumbs, they're coordinates. And when someone starts documenting them instead of dismissing them, the signal doesn't just get louder, it gets more specific. Your higher self has been transmitting all along, and the shift happens the second you stop waiting for certainty and start following resonance. But here's where it gets practical, because knowing the signal is one thing. Embodying the response is where the real magic lives. Words without the body are just noise. But when someone speaks with their whole system aligned, those words become a tuning fork that shifts their entire energy field. I am isn't a motivational phrase scribbled on a sticky note. It's a quantum declaration that tells the universe which timeline you're stepping into. The catch? Your nervous system has to believe you're already there, and belief doesn't live in your head. It lives in your posture, your breath, your cellular vibration. When people say affirmations while slouched over their phone, scrolling through doubt, the words bounce off the walls. But when they root themselves, breathe with intention, and speak from the place where their future self already resides, the manifestation isn't something they chase. It's something they become. This is where language stops being abstract and starts being embodiment. Here's the 1-minute ritual that'll shift more than 100 hours of positive thinking. Sit or stand with your spine long, not rigid, just aligned, like there's a thread pulling gently from the crown of your head. Plant your feet flat on the ground. Feel the actual contact between soul and earth, even if you're on the 10th floor. Place one hand on your chest, right over your heart, and feel the warmth transfer from palm to skin. Now, exhale long and slow, twice as long as your inhale. This signals your nervous system to drop out of fight or flight and into the receptive state where the quantum field listens. Say I am 3 times, and after each one, add the quality you're calling in. I am clearly heard. I am magnetically aligned. I am already whole. Feel the resonance in your chest, not just the sound in your throat. Finish with an anchor gesture. Press your thumb to your heart, tap your wrist twice, touch your collarbone. Whatever tiny physical signature says, this is who I am now. Imagine you're walking into a meeting where you've historically felt invisible. 5 minutes before, instead of rehearsing what you'll say, you do the ritual. Spine tall, feet grounded, hand on chest. You whisper, I am clearly heard. I am grounded in my value. I am confident in my contribution. Then you tap your wrist twice. That's your anchor. You walk in and something's different, not louder, not more aggressive, just present. You pause before answering instead of rushing to fill silence. You make eye contact a half second longer. You don't chase approval, you offer value. And the room responds, not because you performed, but because your energy declared a different frequency and people unconsciously aligned with it. That's not confidence tricks. That's embodied shift. He had a high-stakes conversation coming, one of those meetings where the outcome could redirect months of work. The night before, he was a mess, rehearsing scenarios, gaming out responses, building walls out of over-preparation. An hour before the call, he tried something different. He stood up, straightened his spine, put his hand over his heart, and exhaled until his lungs were empty. Then he said it 3 times. I am clearly heard. I am already the person this room respects. I am aligned with the outcome that serves everyone. He tapped his sternum twice, his anchor. During the call, instead of rushing to prove himself, he paused. He let silence sit. He answered from clarity, not defense. Afterward, 3 people messaged him separately to say the call felt different. The content hadn't changed, his frequency had. Here's the 7-day challenge, and it's simpler than your morning coffee routine. Pick one quality per day: Monday, steady; Tuesday, magnetic; Wednesday, clear; Thursday, open; Friday, courageous; Saturday, abundant; Sunday, aligned. Each morning, do the 1-minute ritual with that day's word. Then prove it with one micro-action. If it's courageous, send the message you've been sitting on. If it's abundant, tip an extra $5 and feel the flow instead of the loss. If it's clear, say no to one thing that clouds your energy. The ritual sets the vibration. The micro-action cements it into your timeline. By day 3, the universe stops asking for proof and starts delivering confirmation. By day 7, people around you will start commenting that something's shifted. They won't know what, but they'll feel it. Most folks think transformation requires a mountaintop and a vision quest, but the real shift happens in 60 seconds of embodied truth in a Tuesday bathroom mirror. I am isn't something you say to become. It's something you declare because you've chosen to stop arguing with your future self. The moment the body and the words sync up, the energy field reorganizes and the timeline bends toward alignment. Your higher self doesn't need you to believe harder. It needs you to breathe deeper, stand taller, and speak like the version of you that already made it. And here's the thing nobody warns you about. Once you start embodying it, reality has no choice but to adjust. But talking's one thing. Let's see what happens when you start leaving evidence in the physical world. Reality doesn't respond to what someone thinks or says in private. It responds to what they do in public, even if public is just the way they walk down their own hallway. The quantum field reads behavior, not intention. And the fastest way to shift a timeline is to act like you're already on it before the evidence shows up. Think of it like tuning a guitar 1% at a time. You don't overhaul the whole instrument. You make tiny adjustments until the sound matches the frequency you're aiming for. Most people wait for the big break, the permission slip, the external validation, but manifestation works in reverse. You give the universe one small proof that you've already become the person, and it sends back an opportunity that matches that energy. Not eventually, immediately. The shift isn't in the grand gesture, it's in the micro-test that says, I'm done rehearsing. Here's what a micro-test looks like in real life. You've been sitting on a proposal for weeks, tweaking the wording, waiting for it to feel ready. A micro-test. Hit send at 10 a.m. tomorrow, no more edits. Or your Instagram bio still says aspiring when you've been doing the work for 2 years. Change it today to reflect who you already are, not who you hope to become. Walk into the coffee shop like you own the room, not in an arrogant way, but in the way someone moves when they're not apologizing for taking up space. Pay attention to your screen time settings and swap your phone's lock screen to a single phrase. I am your word. Every time you unlock your phone, 20, 50, 100 times a day, you're microdosing the vibration. These aren't symbolic gestures, they're frequency adjustments that your nervous system registers as evidence. He'd been saying for months that he was ready for a different level of work. Bigger projects, better collaborators, more aligned opportunities. But when he looked at his calendar, it was still packed with the same low-resonance commitments he'd been tolerating out of fear that saying no would close doors. So he did something uncomfortably simple. He blocked off 2 mornings a week as non-negotiable creative time and updated his scheduling link to reflect it. Within 10 days, someone reached out about a collaboration he would have called impossible 3 weeks prior. The timing? It fit perfectly into one of those newly protected windows. The opportunity didn't create the space. The space created the opportunity. His future self had been calling for months, but the line was busy until he cleared it. Here's the daily metric that makes this tangible. 1 proof per day. Not a vision board, not a journal entry, but an action in the physical world that a stranger could observe and say, that person is living like they've already arrived. D, maybe it's reorganizing your workspace so it reflects the version of you that's already successful, clearing the clutter, adding the books you want to be known for reading, lighting the candle you've been saving. Maybe it's responding to emails from a place of abundance instead of scarcity. I'd love to explore this, instead of I'm available whenever works for you. Maybe it's the way you introduce yourself at a networking event, dropping the qualifiers and the self-deprecation, just stating what you do like it's fact. 1 proof. Every day. That's the rhythm your future self operates on. Let's get even more specific. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, make your bed like you're setting a stage, not just tidying up. When you get dressed, choose the outfit that makes you feel like the person you're becoming, even if you're working from home and nobody's going to see it. When you grab your coffee, hold the cup with both hands for 5 seconds and say internally, I am already the person who moves through today with ease. Walk to your desk or your car with your shoulders back, your gaze forward, like you're the main character in a film about someone who's already made it. Send one message you've been avoiding. Could be a pitch, a boundary, a compliment, a reconnection, something that requires you to show up as the aligned version. By noon, you've already given 5 micro-proofs, and the universe is taking notes. The wildest part? Reality starts bending within 48 hours. The DM you've been hoping for slides in. The conversation you thought would be hard flows with unexpected ease. The closed opportunity reopens because someone backed out at the last minute. It's not magic and it's not luck. It's resonance. When your behavior matches the frequency of your future self, the timeline adjusts to accommodate the shift. You stop chasing synchronicity and start being the synchronicity. And here's the loop that keeps it going. Every time you give 1 proof, the universe sends back an opportunity to give another. So the question isn't whether this works, it's whether you're ready to stop being the person who waits and start being the person who moves. Here's the truth. Nobody's been saying out loud, you're not waiting for the portal to open. You are the portal. Your future self isn't somewhere out there sending smoke signals from a distant timeline. It's transmitting right now. Through your body, through the signs you've been collecting, through the restlessness that won't let you settle. Every breath you take is tuning the frequency. Every micro-act you choose is adjusting the quantum field to match where you're headed. The shift isn't coming, it's here. And it's been here, waiting for you to stop asking permission and start declaring presence. So close your eyes for just a second. Take 1 deep breath all the way down into your ribs. Now say it, whisper it, own it. I am. And add whatever quality is calling you today. Courage, clarity, magnetic, aligned. Say it like you mean it, and then notice. Where in your body does that statement land? Is it your chest expanding, your shoulders dropping? That sensation, that's confirmation. That's your future self saying, welcome home. Now here's your first public act of alignment. Scroll down and comment, I heard it. Plus your declaration, I heard it, I am grounded courage. I heard it, I am magnetic alignment, whatever came through for you. This isn't just engagement, it's you leaving proof in the physical world that the call came through and you answered. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next transmission. Share this with one person who's sitting in the waiting room of their destiny right now. They'll know exactly who they are when you send it. And if you're ready to go deeper, click the video on your screen, the continuation of your resonance, 7-minute I am practice. In 7 minutes, we're syncing body, voice, and action so you can feel reality adjust in real time. The frequency's live. Your future self is calling. The only question left is, are you ready to stop rehearsing and start becoming?